The ground was still wet from the morning rain when it happened. A tiny scream, so soft it might have been lost in the wind, echoed between the schoolyard walls, and yet somehow it felt loud enough to split the world in two. 3 boys stood around a little girl, their shadows long and heavy on the concrete. One pushed her backpack. One flicked her hair. One called her a name she had heard too many times. And through it all, no one, absolutely no one, stepped forward to help her. Before we continue, if stories that open the heart, stir emotion, and remind us of humanity mean something to you, then please take a moment to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Whispers of Kindness. Your support keeps these stories alive. Her name was Liana. She was 9, quiet, soft-spoken. The kind of child who apologized even when the world hurt her. And yet today, as her eyes filled with tears she tried so hard to hide, something felt different, because this time someone was watching. A man in a worn-out blue jacket stood by the metal fence, his coffee cooling in his hand. He looked like any tired parent on any tired morning, except for the storm slowly building in his eyes. His name was Adam, a single father who had learned to swallow his anger, carry his pain, and keep moving until now. The moment he saw one of the boys shove Liana hard enough to make her stumble, something inside him broke loose. Memories of another time, another life. A classroom, a young boy being laughed at, pushed, bruised, ignored. A boy no one defended. A boy who grew up believing he deserved it. That boy was him. Adam dropped his cup. It hit the ground, splashing across his shoes as he rushed forward. But what made everyone freeze was not the sound of his footsteps. It was the voice that cracked through the air like thunder. "Touch her again," he said, "and you're done." Every head turned. Even the bullies stepped back, startled. Adam's voice wasn't loud, but it carried years of buried fear, regret, and rage. Eyes around the yard widened, teachers moved closer. Whispers spread from child to child, and Liana, with trembling fingers, wiped her cheek. One of the bullies tried to act tough. "We were just joking," he mumbled, looking away. Adam stepped closer, but his tone softened. "Do you know what a joke is?" "A joke makes people laugh. What you're doing makes someone feel small. It takes away a piece of them, and you don't get to do that." They didn't speak. They didn't argue. They simply backed off, because for the first time, someone stood on the side of the quiet child who never fought back. But this moment, this confrontation, was only the beginning. Later, as Adam walked toward the school office with Liana, he noticed she kept her gaze low, the way children do when they're used to hiding. Her voice finally came, barely above a whisper. "Why did you help me?" Adam slowed. His throat tightened. "Because no one helped me when I needed it." She looked up, confused. But Adam didn't explain further, not yet. Some wounds are too old, too deep, too fragile to expose all at once. The school promised to address the issue, but Adam knew how these systems worked. Meetings, warnings, paperwork, then silence. He realized the real battle wouldn't be fought with rules, but with presence, with showing up, with giving Liana something she never had before, a steady, protective figure who didn't vanish when the day ended. Over the next weeks, he began noticing her. Not in a forced way, just noticing. When he'd pick up his own daughter, Emma, he'd see Liana walking alone. He began greeting her, asking how her day was, offering a quick smile or a gentle encouragement. Slowly, carefully, she began responding. But challenges didn't magically disappear. The bullies returned, not as bold, not as open, but still there, snickering behind corners, whispering insults when they passed. Liana began hiding her lunch, pretending she wasn't hungry to avoid attention. She started avoiding group activities. She walked with her textbook pressed tightly to her chest, as though trying to build her own armor. Adam saw the signs. He'd lived them. What he didn't expect was the day she knocked on his apartment door at dusk. Drenched in the cold evening rain, shaking and terrified, Emma had answered. "Liana, what happened?" "Them," she sobbed. "They followed me. After school, they said they'd—" Her words choked off. Adam appeared behind Emma, eyes widening in shock. He knelt, holding out a warm towel. "You're safe now," he said. "You hear me? You're safe." But safe was not enough. Adam knew that. So that night, after Liana calmed down, he contacted her mother. only to learn something that shattered him. Liana's mother worked 2 jobs. Her father had left. She had no siblings. No neighbors who checked in. No extended family. She was loved deeply, but she was alone in the world far too often. That night after Emma went to sleep, Adam sat at the table replaying Liana's trembling voice. He had been raised by a single mother, too. He had walked those lonely roads, and he remembered the one thing he always wished for. Someone, anyone, who cared enough to say, "You don't deserve this." So he became that person. He started escorting both girls to and from school. He spoke to teachers. He asked to attend meetings. He didn't yell. He didn't threaten. He simply made it impossible for the world to ignore her pain anymore. Still, the biggest challenge came quietly when Liana herself started believing she was the problem. One afternoon, she whispered, "Maybe they hate me because I'm weird." Adam's heart twisted. "You're not weird," he said gently. "You're quiet. You're thoughtful. You feel deeply. And sometimes, people who don't understand that try to break it." She looked away. "They said no one would ever stand up for me." "Well," Adam replied softly, "they were wrong." Days turned to weeks. Weeks turned to months. And slowly, gracefully, Liana began to rise. She started sitting with other students, shy ones, kind ones. She joined art club. She even laughed in public again, a sound Adam hadn't realized he'd missed until he heard it. But the turning point came during a parent-student event, when one of the bullies bumped into her on purpose. This time, before Adam could react, Liana stood tall and said, "Don't touch me!" Her voice was small but steady, firm. Her hands didn't shake. The boy stepped back, not because Adam was watching, but because she had learned to fight her own shadows. Adam felt his chest tighten, not with anger, but with pride. Later that night, as he walked the girls home, Liana slipped her hand into his, not out of fear, but trust. "Thank you," she said softly, "for seeing me when no one else did." He looked at her with a warmth she had rarely known. "Sometimes," he said, "all a child needs is one person who doesn't walk away." And that idea, that quiet truth, became the foundation of everything that followed. Liana grew stronger. The bullies grew weaker. Not because they were punished, but because courage is contagious. When one child stands, others follow. Soon, even teachers noticed the change. Students who once ignored her started defending her. A girl who had been invisible became someone others admired for her quiet resilience. In time, Liana became someone who helped other children. The new kids, the shy ones, the ones who didn't know where to sit during lunch. The cycle of hurt broke with her. Adam never claimed credit. He didn't want any. But deep inside, he knew something. He had saved a child from living the same childhood he once carried in silence. Years later, when Liana delivered a small speech at a school assembly about bravery, she looked toward Adam as she said, "Sometimes heroes don't wear capes. Sometimes they just say, 'Touch her again and you're done.'" The audience clapped. Adam looked down, blinking back tears. Emma squeezed his hand. "Dad," she whispered, "you changed her life." Adam exhaled shakily. "She changed mine too." Because in helping Liana, he healed the part of himself that once stood alone in a hallway, waiting for someone, anyone, to care. And that is the quiet power of kindness. Before you go, if this story touched your heart, even a little, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to Whispers of Kindness. Your support helps us continue telling stories that remind the world what it means to care. Thank you for listening.